Hello. Just got back from work. Sure has been tiring. It made me think though. When we look at Marvel characters, every single one of them seem to start the exact same way. They're normal people living out their normal lives. And then either they discover that they've got powers like the X-Men, or an event happens like Peter Parker getting his spider senses through a spider bite, or they take a specific journey, like Doctor Strange. Actually, Doctor Strange was someone I wanted to talk about. He lost the ability to use his hands, and yet that motivated him to learn about magic, making him one of the greatest sorcerers in the world. Our NHS don't have magic. They don't have powerful sorcerers. But that doesn't mean that they don't have magic in their fingers. Every day they sacrifice their lives and their families to keep us safe. That's something special, something we should always respect. I was going to read you another story, but I thought today I'd continue reading my Poppy story to you. While I think about all of the NHS people. Every single person has to go into work hoping and praying that today will be a normal day. Normality has disappeared with humanity, but not hope. You could say our dear friend April is about to experience something she's experienced many times, but each new experience is still the same to her. Nerve-wracking. Last time we read the story, we met a mysterious stranger and April was standing outside the palace gates, waiting to be admitted in. Shall we see how she goes? It's quite a long one, so this one's going to be pretty long. The lonely, mysterious stranger walked quietly down the market square, scanning the stalls. Occasionally the stranger would bend her waist and inspect a wood carving before snorting and walking away. The stall owners eyed her. Then the stranger stopped and squinted her wild, piercing eyes. The stall she glanced at was a small, jewel-based stall decorated with ruby rings and sapphire-studded necklaces. Pearls and sparkling diamonds glittered the edges, while crystal figurines stood guard with their diamond eyes. But it wasn't these wonders that got the stranger staring. It was the wooden carving of a German shepherd sitting out of place but proudly at the base of the stall. In 2 strong strides, the stranger was kneeling before the carving and patting it between the ears. Finally she straightened and turned to the startled stall owner. Tell me, where did you get the carving? The owner froze. The stranger's eyes seemed to search his soul for any lies he planned to tell. Nervous, he points to a wider part of the square in the direction of the palace. Go down there, then turn right before you reach Close Drive. It's the only carving stall in front of a run-down blacksmith's. Can't miss it. The stranger thanked him, tossed a small silver coin, and started to follow her new directions. The owner watched her depart, suspicion on his face. King Matthew glanced lovingly at a photo neatly framed in a golden cage. His fingers stroked the lovely woman's golden hair. It wasn't exactly the same, but the memory created in his mind gave him comfort. The heavenly perfume she used to use sat in a tiny bottle on his desk. He opened it slightly to make his image more realistic. A knock dissolved it. "Come," he ordered. The butler walked in, bowed low, and cleared his throat. "The carver is waiting at the door with the princess's birthday present. Should I send her away?" Matthew squared his shoulders and eyed the butler. He looked more like a security guard or an overweight boxer than a butler. His muscled chest and strong shoulders strained against his tight shirt. His smart suit and shiny shoes contained no creases or specks of dust. The hidden impression behind the butler's words sank in. Since day one, there had been a fiery tension between the young carver and the hard-working manservant. She was quite a mysterious girl, having drifted asleep on a lonely longboat with little food, water, and possessions except a small, tightly wrapped bundle. Her scruffy, dull appearance had both baffled and released pity from the people. However, a chip still balanced on his shoulder. "You will do no such thing." The king watched the butler's back straighten. "Show her into the throne room. My daughter will be waiting." April shot to a standing position, thrusting the present behind her back as the butler opened the door. He sized her distastefully, then grunted. "The king will see you in the throne room." "Thank you," April grinned nervously. Carefully she slid past him and entered the house. Fresh whitewash and gold-darned tapestries of red and silver blue styled the windows and walls. A short, golden-haired maid was steaming the ruby-red rug. "Follow me," the butler huffed. April obeyed, 4 strides to his 2. His shoulders forced back and his nose high in the air. It didn't improve her nerves. Servants paced past them, some carrying bundles of clothing, others trays of food. Each one the butler would give them an angry snort, or April would nod and smile. The throne room was, to April, as big as a field. The double doors looked as tall as the masts of ships. The pillars were still oak trees. Whitewash gleamed like gold in the sunlight. The king waited at the end of the grand room. His royal red and gold colours danced out the importance of his status. A jewel-studded crown glistened from the crown of his brown hair. "Welcome, April," King Matthew greeted proudly. April bowed low, still keeping her figurine hidden. This added to her strangeness. Matthew only offered a gentle smile. "You have brought my daughter her present?" April nodded. "I have, my lord." "Where is it?" Mary's hyperactive form appeared from behind the throne. April's sharp eyes noticed, however, that her breath was slow and controlled. She mentally winced at the beautiful but corset-styled dress. Now, Matthew grinned at his excited daughter. Patience is a virtue, after all. The miracle carver has only just got here. April glanced at her still shaking legs. Her heart was fighting in her chest. Suddenly, thoughts of the sea clouded her mind. The gentle breeze, the salty taste, the hand on her shoulder. Stop it, she mentally scolded herself. Now wasn't the time to get herself killed. Well, Mary's voice snapped her out of her mind. She lifted her head, tossing a stray strand of brown hair. Now or never. Please like it, she wanted to say. I hope it is to your standard, my ladyship, she in fact replied. Breathing out, she shuffled the carving to the front. Wait, Mary interrupted. I want to do this properly. Like a young child, she pushed both hands in front of her and closed her eyes. I give you permission to walk up here and place the gift into my hand. The temperature and volume in the room dropped. April stood frozen in confusion and terror. The princess was trusting her. Matthew grinned. Step forward, April. Do not be afraid. Slowly, April shuffled towards the waiting princess. Her body trembled, and she wasn't sure she could do it. Glancing at the pair resting on her palms, she swallowed and lifted it to rest in the princess's hands. Their fingers brushed and she froze. Mary cradled the base and giggled. The urge to run screamed in April's mind. Time moved slowly as the princess slowly opened her eyes. Mary gasped. That was when April's knees chose to buckle. She refused to get up. She let herself kneel, trembling, shaking, waiting for the punishment. She found it hard to breathe. Oh, April, Mary breathed. She doesn't like them, April thought. They're rubbish. Ah, I'm dead. Beautiful. Mary turned the father and son, unaware that April was slowly remembering how to breathe. The detail is beyond anything. Ah, wonderful work, April. Your best work yet. I don't think it needs to be said, but you are the best carver in this harbour. Matthew congratulated her. April was still kneeling on the floor, shocked. Thank you, sire. You don't think it's a little too much? I mean, as I was making it, I thought the stag looked a little lonely, so I gave him a son or daughter to look after. She noticed Butler was edging dangerously towards her. I know I did wrong. You asked for one, and I gave you two. No extra fee will be charged. Butler, leave clever April alone, Mary ordered. Butler bowed away. April? The baby? I can't read today. The baby adds a radiance to the carving. I see the look of love and a feeling of pride in protecting this youngster. They are perfect together. A brown money sack was thrown in April's direction, who skillfully caught it. As you wish, your fee will be the same. Maid, Matthew signalled to a departing serving maid. Go to the kitchen and tell cook to bring a bag of fresh fruit and sandwiches. I couldn't help but notice that you seem paler than usual. Nervousness, I am sure, was part of it. But the money cannot be reward enough, especially for a beautiful creation such as this. You really don't have to, April objected. Oh, don't be so modest, Matthew chuckled, signalling her to rise from her kneeled position. You have done us proud. The maid handed April a large bag tied with rope, curtsied to a king and left. April watched her go. Maid, called out the king, Please escort April to the door. I will need a few words with Butler. The maid curtsied again and gently held the door. April bowed to Matthew, to Mary, slung the food bag gratefully over her shoulder, tucked the money bag in the pocket of her apron, and shuffled quietly away. Only as maid closed the front gates behind her did she yank out the handkerchief and dab at her sweaty brow. Phew. I'm pretty sure that was a very scary experience for poor April. But she didn't have anything to worry about. Her carvings said more than anything in the world. I wonder what you guys are doing now in quarantine. Are you learning a new skill? Are you rediscovering old skills that you originally had? Or are you going through one day at a time? Whatever you're doing, I hope you stay safe and stay well. I have to go, but I'll see you tomorrow.